Okay, what's up, guys? This is Tom for Cortex Zero. Thanks for coming across my channel and deciding to watch this video. So, this is my personal story of the UFO sighting that happened to me, my personal encounter with the unknown when I was just a child that ignited my interest in the paranormal, UFOs, everything under that category, even further than it already was. Growing up, I already had this immense interest in things of this nature, but this is what really came over and dumped the gasoline on that fire. So, when I was between 8 and 10 years old, I was in the Boy Scouts, and I was on my first camping trip ever. I had never been camping before. And it was in the middle of the night. I want to say that it was probably about 2 or 3 in the morning. It had already been a pretty interesting night, considering we had a campground right next to us that was being occupied by a group of Wiccans that were doing a bunch of chanting and rituals and things of that sort. It was actually pretty interesting because their vocal harmony ability was actually quite stupendous, to be honest, and it sounded really pretty. So, that being said, I had exited my tent, which was occupied by myself and 3 of my friends. One of my friends came out with me. His name was Jermaine, and we both decided to sit around the campfire that had already been put out. And of course, I wanted to be a good Boy Scout. I had just gotten my fire badge from what I remember and wanted to make sure that the fire was out. There were no burning embers. So, I was poking it with a stick, making sure everything was out, nothing was smoking. And we sat down, and it was a really clear night. We were in this nice clearing in the woods that, if you were to stare up, it was like almost a perfectly circular clearing in the woods, surrounded by a tree line that broke apart to reveal a circular section of the sky. And since we were in the middle of Lebanon State Forest, which, if you're watching this video and you're from New Jersey, you may know where that is, there was a complete lack of light pollution in that particular location. So we were able to see a great deal of the stars in the sky that evening. So anyways, we were sitting there just talking about, whatever we were thinking about at the time, I suppose. I don't remember the specific contents of our conversation. I was very young, and this is many years ago. And it was really still that night. That's something that really sticks out in my mind as a prominent detail when I recollect this memory. And suddenly there was just this whoosh, just this pushing of air that happened that didn't feel like a natural breeze. It almost had the quality of when a car drives past you at a high speed and you can feel that it wasn't just a natural breeze emanating from nature itself. It was created by an object. And it was this remarkably weird electromagnetic feeling. And it was like the hairs on my arms were standing up. It was associated with the onset of this sudden, unnatural breeze that came past us. And as it approached, something caught the attention of Jermaine and myself. From where I was sitting, in my peripheral vision to my upper right in the sky, something started protruding from that section of the sky, and as it moved further into my vision, I was able to catch a glimpse of the edge of whatever this thing was, and then it became very visible. It was a classic TR-3B shaped UFO, this craft, just silently gliding across the sky at a very, very slow pace. There were no sounds emanating from this object, and I have to say that, just my best estimate, this object was more than just massive. It seemed to be about the size of like a football stadium. I mean, really, it was huge. I cannot stress that enough. The immense capacity of this craft. It was just remarkably large. And as it came into our view, we didn't even say anything. We didn't know what to say. So it comes into our view, and, we're both staring at it, not saying anything. My mouth was probably just wide open. And I'm sure that I was excited, shocked, frightened, and all of these different emotions simultaneously. And as it came into perfect view in the center of this clearing in the sky, it stopped. And on each corner of this craft, 3 lights in succession, starting from the very front of the object, moving to the left and then the right, these lights just flickered on in this very strange fade-in sort of fashion. It's kind of like a smartphone when you hit your power button and the screen kind of like fades out real fast, like zip. It did that, but in the opposite way. It came on. And the quality of the lights, for me to describe that, the best way that I could articulate that to someone who is just listening to this, would be that they were white lights, but they all had a haze around them that reminded me of a customized set of headlights on a car when you see this like aqua blue fluorescent haze around a white light. Like if you have like someone driving behind you who's, got a customized Honda Civic or something of that sort, and they've added these customized fluorescent lights, that's what it looked like. It was like a white light, but with a blue haze around it, and it was just one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It was amazing. So as it sat there, that's when I finally said, "Oh my God, what is that? Look at that, look at that. Are you seeing that too? Am I imagining this? Is that really there?" And all Jermaine could say was, "I see it. I see it." Like, I remember him just stuttering so much as he spoke. And he was physically more frightened than I was. He was trembling, and he actually stood up and was sort of like pacing in a small space, like back and forth. He wasn't walking a far distance, but he was pacing. And then suddenly, the craft began to move again. And as it did, we felt that unnatural electromagnetic whoosh as it made its way across the sky again. And it was there. It was obscuring the stars behind it. You could clearly see it because it was also sort of a bright moon in the sky that night. It wasn't a full moon, but it was enough that if you were lost in the woods, the moon itself was there to illuminate your path as you were walking. So, as the craft began to disappear, we felt the electromagnetic whoosh, and then it was over. And to this day, that was the single craziest thing I have ever seen. And I just have this feeling that it wasn't from this planet, that it wasn't a secret Black Ops government vehicle. I think it was extraterrestrial in nature.